Hello YouTubers, Toby Till here with Rocky Mountain Snow MX. We are here to provide you with all of your snow bike related technical videos and also any parts or accessories you may need for your snow bike. Feel free to give us a call. 720-263-7533. Hello everybody, Toby Till here with Rocky Mountain Snow MX. Coming to you today with the brand new 2022 Yeti that just got released. As you guys know, you saw the release yesterday. I have one sitting here in the flesh today. It is 3/3 of 2021. This unit will immediately be going on to one of my shop bikes, which is a Honda CRF 450R Works Edition 2021 also. And we're gonna be headed to the mountain this weekend to give it the rundown, see how it goes. I can't tell you how impressed I am with the new Yeti. I'd love to go over some of the new features with you to show you what the differences are and how they come into play. First place we're going to start out at is with this new spindle. This new spindle is made out of aluminum, uses interchangeable fork clamps. So when you go bike to bike and you change from one bike to the next, you're going to be able to keep the main part of the spindle, which is the expensive part of the spindle, and you're going to be able to change the adapters in each side of the spindle and the fork clamps, which are way less expensive than trying to change blades and things like that. In addition, this spindle is made to have weak points and strong points. So it's made to have strong points. And the strong points are is that when you're turning and this big 1-inch scag on the bottom of the ski is grabbing snow, you're not gonna have flex in the spindle. When you're turned somewhat sideways and you hit a rock, the real big hope is that you're not going to break the spindle off, and it's actually gonna have some rigidity. But it also has weak points. The weak points are shear surfaces, like where these bolts go into the main spindle. The thinness at the bottom of the spindle is also a shear point. So we are hoping that when you do hit something you're not supposed to, that the spindle pieces are going to break and your forks are not. That's why we always love the carbon fiber. The carbon fiber would break and hopefully save your $1,500 worth of forks. The same principle goes with this. More rigidity, more feeling coming through from the snow to the handlebars without any slop, but still having points that will break away without damaging your forks. That's the new spindle and base block design. Ski is the same. Now we're gonna move to the kit. Couple huge things with the kit that I'll point out. Right up here in the front. You see these wheels? Well, most people would call these anti-stab wheels. Yetis don't have a problem with stabbing the track with their rails. So these aren't anti-stab wheels. These are rail efficiency wheels. As the track comes around and these clips are guided into the rails, the track is moving around, right, from track slop. Well, the plastic rail tips that are on the rail do the job of guiding those clips down the inside of the rail so that they go towards the rail and come through. But can you imagine how much efficiency is lost in a standard unit that the track is using those clips, right? Well, with these wheels in place, they're actually guiding the track more accurately for the clips to come through the rails and not hit on the side of the rails. So by keeping the clips and the track in line better, it's actually increasing efficiency, transferring more power to the snow. Not only do they do that, but here's the big thing. As you can tell, the track comes around the drivers. As it comes down off of the drivers, it goes towards the rail. Well, first thing that the track normally does is hits the rail tips. Well, anytime that you're rubbing the rail tips on the clips, you're losing efficiency, right? Because you're actually rubbing the rubber on the plastic rail tip. That is creating resistance. Yeti has gotten rid of that drag by installing these bearing wheels. We are seeing horsepower gain deliveries on the chassis dyno with this style of rail tip now versus a hard plastic rail tip. Second thing we move back to, the front suspension arm. The front suspension arm, now instead of having plastic wheels up here in the top that guide the track over the front suspension arm, we now have these really long runners. These long, hard plastic runners help guide the track over the front of the arm, increasing efficiency. Yeti's really worked hard on not only providing something super lightweight, but extreme efficiency so that you can really transfer all of that bike power that we have to the ground. In addition to these hard plastic runners over the top of the shock, they've also increased the size of the front crossbar on the chromoly front arm to really help with rigidity of the front arm so that even racers cannot break this system doing 40-foot tabletops. So extreme efficiency, very, very tough front suspension that they've redesigned into it. They've also changed the bottom mounting of the shocks. So in the bottom down here, you now have these much larger plastic, hard plastic bushings going between the shock and the side rails that are putting compression on the shock bushings and the side rails, and that keeps the shock much more centered and keeps bushing wear from happening in the shock cross shafts on the bottom side. That's both front and rear shocks. Then the next thing that we need to talk about that's new with 2022 is the availability to get Elka Stage 5 shocks. Elka Stage 5 shocks are longer in length than the Stage 3 shocks with their standard. So if you upgrade your snow check system to an Elka Stage 5, you're actually going to get a longer shock. What does that mean for you? Well, what it means is that the limiting factor in suspension travel in a Yeti is actually the shocks. So when they fully droop out, the shorter Stage 3 shock sets the suspension travel on the bottom end. The longer Stage 5 shock will actually let it extend further and give you more suspension. Also, one of the key factors with the longer suspension is that you can even tune this so that you can run a very light rear spring pressure. And with all of the new transition in these arms, you can make this kit with a Stage 5 feel very playful, and you can make it wheelie, and you can make it ditch bang like it's going out of style. So having the ability to have a very flat, on-point mountain kit, or a very fun, free-flowing transitioning kit, all by using the exact same shocks and the exact same platform, but upgrading to the Elka Stage 5, you have both a Flatlander ditch banging kit and you've got a steep mountain kit combined in one, with literally just changing shock settings and changing rear spring preload. So you can do it all with one. Really great addition. Now, I know, I'm kind of holding the best till last. Here it comes. Look at the new track. So, what you can see with the new track versus what we've had before, or what anybody's had. This new track now, and you can see it from the profile, it's beveled so that when you come into a corner and you're on hard pack, not only does the track roll over onto its side with ease, but once you really start putting track pressure on, you can see that Fat Boy Slim design, narrow rails, wide track, takes it one step further and allows that track to even bend up more around the sides of the rails. Secondary thing with the new track, this new track has paddles, and you can see from this line, that shove the snow in, and then once the snow comes through this side paddle at an angle, it's funneled towards the center paddle. The center paddle acts like a parachuted scoop. So the snow is coming in, angled at the center paddle, the center scoop grabs it, and it makes this track jump up on the snow faster, right? So by moving more snow it's actually going to propel forward much easier than with a staggered paddle track. Secondary thing that the track is doing, it's also taking all of this snow that it's gathering, right? And what happens with tracks, so we want to talk a little bit about track width. So if you imagine a 10-inch wide, 129-inch track will want to chainsaw down and in, right? Because it has no compaction of the snow. All it has is track movement. So as soon as you take that narrow track, whether it be 10 inches, 11 and a half, whatever you want to compare it to, and you take that track and you spin it, it automatically chainsaws down in, and then it gets traction and it goes. When you have this new 12 3/8 of an inch wide track, it's the widest track out there on a snow bike platform, 12 3/8 inches wide. When you take that 12 3 inches wide and set it down on the snow, what does it do first? It compacts the snow. When you compact snow, the very first thing that happens is that it compacts it and then it moves it. Well, if you're compacting the snow with a wider track, you have more potential to move firmer and harder snow. That gives you flotation, that gives you forward momentum. So you get a couple of great things out of this track. You get 12 3/8 wide track that compacts the snow. Then you get that big 12 3/8 inch wide track that takes the snow and grabs a hold of it with this funnel style pattern of track, and it moves it. So instead of the track spinning, chainsawing down in, it's actually propelling the bike forward. And this is on super light, fluffy December snow or hard packed spring snow. And that's something that we really need to point out. The Aero 3 is a great track. That 11 and a half inch wide Aero 3 track has been the top performer in the 129 inch track category for 2019 and 2020. In a 129, that Aero 3 track is awesome in that December, January, February, super deep snow. It will out paddle the previous years of Yeti 129s. It'll out paddle a CMX. That track is awesome. But where that track starts to have a little issue is in the harder packed snow. On the trail, it doesn't handle all that great compared to, let's say, a 2019, 2020 Yeti. Well, now Yeti has this new 2.6 inch track that has a better funnel, a better paddle design, and it still has the ability to handle super well when you're running down the trail coming back, or when it's springtime and you're side hilling, that track is grabbing the side hill. So track to track, I'll let you know more after this weekend when I get it on the snow for the first time. But from the people that have ridden this track, they're saying that it paddles just as hard, if not harder, than an Aero 3, and it has all the trail manners and high-speed cornering and hard compact snow ability that the previous Yeti track has that we love so much. Something that we need to talk about while we're on tracks. This track, 2.6 inch track powered by 60 horsepower. What a great combination. A deeper lug track holds the bike back, right? And almost everybody that you can run across, they will say that if they had a 2.5 inch paddle track on their bike before and they went to an Aero 3, they're running one gear lower than what they were previous, because that big Aero 3 moving all that snow is bogging down the bike. When you put this track on, everybody's saying, and I will confirm this, everybody's saying that this can run a half a gear to a gear higher because you're retaining track speed. Between the 12 3/8 inch wide width, the 2.6 paddle design, and the funnel that it makes it, it's actually able to turn the snow and turn the bike using more efficiency and more power to get to the snow, in turn having the same kind of flotation as an Aero 3. But what's super cool is that this track is light, really light. When we're talking about rotating mass, what kind of power does it take to turn rotating mass? The more rotating mass you have, meaning the track, the more power it's going to take to turn that rotating mass. Yeti, just from previous year, lightened their track by 1 pound. Imagine taking 1 pound off of a track. So you take a 129, 12-inch wide track, you make it 3/8 of an inch wider, and you make it a 2.6 versus a 2.5, and you still take a pound out of that track. That's now a track that's super efficient. It's going to spin easier. It's going to ramp up easier. It's going to take that 60 horsepower and produce the snow better. But here's another super cool thing. I have not had anybody give me a weight on an Aero 3 track only, but I am under the impression that an Aero 3 weighs 38 pounds. I was told that by somebody who looked up the specs. If an Aero 3 weighs 38 pounds and the Yeti 129 2.6 weighs 34 pounds, we should gain a lot of power transfer through this system, through the track, by having a 4-pound lighter weight track that's able to spin. Now, since we're talking about tracks, we're going to talk about pitch. Pitch is something that is, everybody knows, but maybe everybody doesn't know what pitch really means. Pitch means the distance from this crossbar to this crossbar, okay? You have like 4 different pitches in the snow bike track world, snowmobile world, but the 2 most common in snow bike tracks is a 2.8 pitch and a 3.0 pitch. Everybody's heard of that, but what it truly is, it's the measurement between these 2 crossbars in the track. Yeti uses a 2.8-inch pitch track. The Aero 3 uses a 3-inch pitch track. When you have a larger pitch, you have to turn it around a smaller diameter driver. So Yeti uses a 7-tooth driver. Timbersled uses a 6-tooth driver that's a 3-inch pitch, because Yeti is a 2.86. Timbersled Aero 3 is a 3-inch pitch. So everybody imagine this. Imagine your track turning around a 7-tooth driver that is larger in diameter versus that same track with a 3-inch paddle on it going around a 6-tooth driver that's smaller in diameter. There is way less rolling resistance going around a larger driver than going around a smaller driver. So once again, we will go back to efficiency, transferring that power from the bike to the track. Something else with pitch. The further apart these crossbars are, the more wave that happens in between them, right? Makes total sense. If you have a short, stubby track that's 2.86 between crossbar to crossbar, it's going to be very difficult to get the wave to happen as you go over the drivers and the rear wheels. But let's say you increase them to a 3-inch. You've got more opportunity for that wave to happen. Well, that wave is literally fluctuation in the track between crossbars, and when it goes over the drivers, it's taking away horsepower. If you keep it strong and you keep it short, you actually are getting less wave in the track, transferring more power to the track and out of the system. So once again, a 2.86 driver and a 2.86 pitch track is much more efficient at transferring power than a 3.0 pitch track and a smaller driver. So keep that in mind when you're looking at efficiency and you're looking at the way a system's going to put power to the snow. Yeti did an awesome job of really working out all the details for efficiency, track design, all of the crossbars that they've got in place. This new 2022 system, I'm very hopeful that when I get it to the snow tomorrow, it's going to be the one to have. All right, the other thing that I want to talk about is approaching. As you can tell, a Yeti has a very flat rail that comes up slowly on an approach angle. What that does, it actually creates the opportunity to get the snow underneath the track at a more gradual level, making it plane and making it come up on top of the snow quicker and easier. So approach angle really matters in that manner. But think about another thing. If you have a very steep approach angle, it limits the amount of your track that's in the snow. So if you have a lower approach angle, you have more flat part of the track in the snow, which creates lift and it creates forward momentum. If you have a very steep approach angle, you have less track in the snow, less lift, more trenching, less pop up and float on the snow. The other thing also to take in consideration, we're going to talk about pitch one more time. Remember we talked about how the pitch is the distance between lugs. If you have a 3-inch pitch on a 129-inch track, you have 40 paddles on a 129-inch track, right? Super simple, right? You take 129 divided by 3, because it's a 3-inch pitch. That puts 40 paddles on that track. If you take the same 129-inch track and make it a 2.86 pitch, you have 42 paddles on that track. So imagine the increase of speed and ability to pop up on the snow and scoop snow if you simply just compared one more paddle in the snow every rotation, right? Because half the track, right? So a 2.86 track has 42 paddles. A 3.0 pitch track has 40 paddles. So you've got 2 more paddles on the track. You think that moves a little bit more snow? Absolutely. So the difference between a 3.0 and a 2.86, 1 more paddle in the snow when you get to the snow. So as you're kind of comparing, going, does a 2.6-inch paddle track really possibly, can it outdo a 3-inch paddle track? When you take in all of these factors of 1 more paddle on the snow, a shallower approach angle that puts more paddles in the snow, a scooped paddle design that funnels the snow to the inside where the big inner paddle grabs it and throws it out, and a track that's 12 3/8 inches wide versus 11.5 inches wide. There are so many things with this system that's telling me that it is going to perform as well, if not better, than an Aero 3 track. So take all these things in consideration that I've told you about. Hopefully you learned a little something today about track design, pitch, and really what Yeti has done for their 2022 season. And once we get them out on the snow side by side, I'll give you reports then to let you know how it really works. Once again, Toby Till with Rocky Mountain Snow MX. We'll see you next time.
Hello YouTubers, Toby Till here with Rocky Mountain Snow MX. We are here to provide you with all of your snow bike related technical videos and also any parts or accessories you may need for your snow bike. Feel free to give us a call. 720-263-7533.